Hello, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network. Sorry I'm a little bit late today. I was putting together quite a few videos for this particular show. This is the first show of our 2 shows a week schedule, but let's get to it. So today we're going to be talking about 3 different topics. A, COVID-19 and how that's still affecting the country and us. Number 2, or B, is the flood going on in Cache Creek. And C is a fire that happened over the weekend. We happened to be able to cover that. So I'll get to all 3 of those things in this show. And also, as always, if you would like to call in, you can always give me a call at 778-694-4662 and I'll answer your call on the air. Now, let's get to, so what I'm going to do here is I have the numbers for COVID from Saturday written. Then we're going to listen to Dr. Bonnie Henry give us the update from today because she's starting now and I'm starting now, so I haven't heard the numbers yet. So I have that queued up, so we'll listen to that. So as of Saturday, Adrian Dix and Minister of Health and Dr. Bonnie Henry, BC's Provincial Health Officer, have issued the following joint statement regarding updates on the novel coronavirus COVID-19. So this is again Saturday. Today we are announcing 95 new cases for a total of 1,948 cases in British Columbia. Every health region in British Columbia has patients with COVID-19. 778 are in Vancouver, 853 are in Fraser Health, 115 are on the island, 160 are in Interior Health, and 42 are in Northern Health. We are saddened to report that 2 new COVID-19 related deaths have happened on the Vancouver Island and Vancouver Coast Health regions. There have been no new outbreaks in long-term care facilities. However, 3 acute care units have active outbreaks, with outbreaks now declared at over 11 care facilities. Public health teams are also providing support to a number of community outbreaks, and we expect to continue to see more cases in the coming days as contact tracing continues. As of today, 18 employees are now been confirmed positive at Superior Poultry in Coquitlam, and 35 employees are confirmed positive at United Poultry in Vancouver. Additionally, there are 11 confirmed positive cases connected to the Curl Lake project in Alberta. That's the camp in northern Alberta that people have been coming back and forth between BC and Alberta on. And to date, 1,137 people who have tested positive for COVID-19 have recovered. So that is awesome. Now, so those are the numbers from Saturday. And if you have anything that you would like to chat about, Jessica is at home monitoring the chats. So now let's just listen to what Bonnie Henry has to say for today, and then we'll get back to the rest of it.
Good afternoon. For our update today, we'll be talking about the 2 time periods since our last press briefing on Saturday. So for the first period, from Saturday to yesterday, we had 39 new cases who tested positive in BC, bringing our total to 1,987. And then in the second period, from yesterday to this morning, we had an additional 11 new cases, bringing our total to just under 2,000, 1,998. So the total since Saturday, our last report, was 50 new cases here in British Columbia. That includes, over the weekend, 2 additional long-term care facility outbreaks in the Fraser Health region at Valhaven Manor and Valhaven Home and MSA Manor. In both these cases, a single person was identified with COVID-19, and the outbreak response teams from Fraser Health have been involved in both facilities to assess and to manage the outbreaks in those cases. 1 additional outbreak has also been declared over from a long-term care home. That's Central City Lodge. So we have now 12 long-term care facility outbreaks that are over. We currently have 21 long-term care or assisted facility outbreaks and 3 outbreaks in acute care units, for a total of 389 people in those units or in those facilities who have tested positive. As you are aware, we have a number of community outbreaks as well, and we've had some increases with testing over the weekend at the Superior Poultry work site, where we now have 25 people who have tested positive, and there's an ongoing investigation and testing of contacts and family contacts of people from that facility, and additionally we are up to 34 people from United Poultry who have tested positive. I reported on Saturday that we had done a lot of testing at the Mission Federal Correctional Institution, and we remain at 118 cases identified at that institution, including 106 inmates and 12 correctional staff. In addition, we've had 11 people now in the province associated with the outbreak at the industrial complex at Curl Lake in Alberta, and I want to talk a little bit about that some more. I had identified that this was an issue because we have close ties between BC and Alberta around these movement of people for this essential work. Many BC residents continue to travel back and forth for the work that they have in both places, but in Alberta as well. And to date, while we have 11 positive cases, we know that there are several hundred people who are associated with that workplace in Curl Lake, and we know that they've got various degrees of information from their employer about the outbreak. So I mentioned this last week, or I made you aware last week that anybody who has been in the Curl Lake project since March 24th or is in close contact with a worker who is ill and who has concerns needs to immediately self-isolate, and if you are ill, to contact public health. We have been given a list of names, and we are going through across the province to try and contact individuals who were associated with that. It's been a challenging process as we don't all have contact information for everybody, so I want to make it very clear that we continue to have cases reported in BC and in other provinces in Canada and Alberta that have been associated with the facility in Curl Lake, and we need people to be very aware of that, and if you do have any symptoms at all, to stay away from others and to contact us either by calling 811 or calling your healthcare provider or local public health. In terms of our case status, we now...
So that's the numbers from Dr. Bonnie Henry. So that's 39 new cases from Saturday to Sunday and 11 new cases from Sunday to Monday, bringing us 50 new cases over the weekend. Well, those 2 days. So that all being said, the worldwide numbers are currently sitting at 3,055,651 total cases, with 56,446 people in critical condition, with 211,065 total deceased, with 1,926,908 active cases, and 919,366 people recovered. Again, those are worldwide numbers. We cross over the 3 million confirmed case threshold over the weekend. But apparently everywhere is slowing down. There's lots of different countries that are looking at easing the restrictions on being able to be around people. The States is opening up a bunch of states. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not too sure. But that is what is happening. And I know that in BC there has been lots of talks about opening up the schools again, and things of that sort. So people are in talks as to how we can open up our economy and doors. So, speaking of which, today, Prime Minister Trudeau released a new wage subsidy. Well, he didn't release it today. It is now available to be applied to today. So it is a new wage subsidy that is now implemented and is designed to complement the CERB. What this new wage subsidy does is facilitate the employers up to $847 per week per employee. The CERB gives people $2,000 a month if they have lost their job, and this amount, this new amount, is to get people back to work. So you would potentially be making more money going back to work than you would be being on the CERB. And this is for people that are able to go back to work. So if your job is in certain industries or sectors, this would not really apply to you because those sectors cannot be opened up yet. The CERB, this potentially gives them more money if they did return to work, but this is a case of one or the other. So if you have received the CERB and are now going on to this subsidy, the government suggests that you choose one. You don't do them both. You can't do them both. If you somehow end up getting a payment for the CERB and getting onto the wage subsidy, you will have to pay one of them back. They apparently have people that are monitoring this, and they will come after you as a bad term, but they will contact you and ask you to pay one of them back. So the wage subsidy is the wage subsidy is retroactive to March 15th. So this is what I mean. So if you've gotten the CERB in April and you go onto this wage subsidy, you're paid back to the March 15th, you will have to pay back that $2,000 from the CERB. So keep that in mind. Also remember that the CERB, if you don't go onto this wage subsidy, the CERB is taxable. So next year at tax time, they will ask you to pay a certain amount of the CERB back anyway. Now, here's a thing from CTV News, so talking about all of this money. Workers that are impacted by COVID-19 in British Columbia will be able to apply for $1,000 from the province as of this coming Friday. To be eligible for this one-time payment, the province said workers must be a resident of British Columbia as of March 15th, meet the eligibility requirements for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or the CERB, have been approved for the CERB, and be at least 15 years old as of the date of application, have filed or agree to file the 2019 BC income tax return, and not be receiving provincial income assistance or disability assistance. So if you are on some form of welfare or EI, or are on disability, you will not be able to go after this $1,000. In a statement regarding the benefit, Finance Minister Carol James said that the payment is meant for those worried about making ends meet. During these uncertain times, so this is from Carol James, during these uncertain times we want to get through this together by helping displaced workers support themselves and their families. The ministry said the payment is tax-free and that most people eligible for the CERB will be able to get the BC emergency benefit for workers as well. So this isn't a one or the other thing. If you get the CERB, you can go after this $1,000 from the government, and you can go onto the CRA website and find out more information, or the Government of BC website and find out more information. Now, update on businesses in our area. So the Bottle Depot has a message. So the Ashcroft Bottle Depot, during these times we have had to adjust our hours of operation for both of our locations. So the Ashcroft Bottle Depot is open Tuesday to Friday from 11 to 3 and closed Saturdays. However, the Logan Lake Depot is open Saturday 10 to 4. So thank you very much for your patience and understanding. That is from the Bottle Depot. And speaking of depots, Home Depot. So I asked them last week what their hours were, and they said that, hi Gareth, no, we are closed on Saturdays and are open 8 to 4 Monday to Friday for the time being. So if you are hoping to do home projects on Saturdays, Home Depot is closed Saturdays moving forward until further notice. Same thing for the IDA. IDA is still closed Saturdays but open the rest of the time. And I believe their hours are 9 to 5:30 Monday to Friday. With Fridays, I believe you can get prescription drop-offs as well. Safety Mart has a new supply of eggs that arrived this morning. So as of actually today, Monday, the 27th, Safety Mart does have eggs, but they are limiting one carton of eggs per shopping trip. And of course, Star House in Cache Creek is open Wednesday to Monday, 3 to 8:30 afternoon to evening. Now, I will say that these guys have been busy. I tried to get Chinese food on Friday night, I believe, and they said there was going to be over an hour wait for the food. So I actually didn't get Chinese food. I'll have to wait until a quieter day. And every time I drove past the Star House restaurant, they seemed very busy. People must have been missing their Chinese food fix. So if you need your Chinese food, call early, call often, and you might have to wait. So a reminder that both Interior Savings and RBC are closed to the public, but you can still call for your banking needs. This extends to the insurance company in Ashcroft as well. So those are the main updates that I have for COVID-related shutdowns and money and numbers. So there is that. What did I say? I said Home Depot. My wife does that all the time. She will say to me, we got to go to Home Depot. And I say, Home Hardware? You mean Home Hardware? I just pulled Amy. Thank you for pointing that out, Jessica. She says on here that I meant to say Home Hardware. Okay, so that is the COVID-19 related material. Now we're going to get into the flooding in Cache Creek. So earlier today, I actually sat down with Wendy Coomber. She is a part of the EOC, or Emergency Office. She talks about it I can't remember what the acronym means, but it's a 12-minute interview that we're going to watch right now. It's very informative. Remember, she is a little bit blurry. She is in a stairwell. We did this interview over video chat. She's in a stairwell holding the phone up to her face. So thank you, Wendy, for doing that interview. You can still hear her quite well, but the video is a little bit off. So we'll play that now. All right, so to our viewers, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network, and we are being visited by Councilwoman and EOS member, Wendy Coomber.
EOC.
EOC, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
What is EOC?
Actually, I'm not a counselor. Emergency Operations Center, and actually, I'm not a counselor during this. I'm just a volunteer.
Oh, fair enough. So tell us what's going on.
Well, since Saturday night, we've been joined trying to manage the floods on Cache Creek and then through the Bonaparte. We activated our EOC so that we could access some provincial funds to do this. So we've hired engineers, we've hired heavy equipment, we've had lots of work being done along the creek for the past few days, and in the last couple of days, 2 or 3 days, we've turned our attention to the Bonaparte River, which, as you know, the creek flows into, and so we've had to do some work along that. We're still doing work along the creek. Slumping is our biggest problem right now. Because of the water levels, the sides of the creek are falling in, and we're starting to find that on the river as well.
Right. So last week there were some houses and places actually evacuated. Have you had any people coming to see you at the community hall?
Well, when we issued the evacuation order, we activated the emergency support services. We have a local group in town, and they have set up their reception center upstairs at the community hall, and I believe they have had some people come because they can offer accommodations and food while people are out on evacuation order. I can't give you the exact numbers, but it's less than a dozen.
Okay, well that's not so bad. I have been seeing so much work being done around town in Cache Creek by city or village workers and other contractors, so that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, our Public Works has been really great on this. They know the town, they know where all of the services are and where we need help the most. They've been helping the engineers identify these areas. We've reinforced a few sewer mains, making sure that the town has drinking water, good drinking water still. We don't want those things to be cut off because those are very important to our town. Um, the sewage treatment plant, we've taken care of some bank erosion down there. And yeah, some, just things happen and you got to be on them right away. So we don't want, we want to minimize the amount of erosion that's happening along our water streams because a little bit leads to more. So if you can catch it early on, then it's much better than leaving it for afterwards.
The evacuation or alert for like Sage and Sands Mobile Home Park for the places along the Bonaparte has been in effect for 4 or 5 days now.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, based off of what I saw this morning, because I live in Cache Creek, the water has gone down a little bit. What are you expecting to happen in the next few days?
Well, based on what the experts are telling us, and if there's an expert on weather, I'd like to meet them. But based on what they're telling us, water levels should remain fairly steady in the river, moderate fluctuations up and down because of nice cool temperature up near the top of the watershed, which is up around 100 Mile House. The weekend might be a little different as things start to warm up again. We might see a little bit of a rise again before the whole thing's finished, but who knows when that's going to be. Hopefully by next week, but you can't tell.
So this year has been a very rapid response so the water came up in the Cache Creek and the Bonaparte. The response from the village has been tremendous. What makes this year different from previous years?
Every time we have flooding in the Cache Creek, it seems to cut a new channel, and it just gets worse and worse every year. I think it was brought to our attention really soon in the flood. We weren't expecting it. It came about a week and a half earlier than it normally does. So we were kind of caught by surprise. So we called in engineers right away and contacted the province. And yeah, I think the difference was that we were looking for outside help quite early on in the game, and they helped us devise plans and areas they identified that we really needed to focus our work on to shore them up. So yeah, it's been quite hectic, but I think when it's all done, we'll see the benefit of it with the better protected infrastructure, and hopefully the bank will come out of it in better condition than it might otherwise have done. As you can see by reading the news, all of the lakes and rivers from here north of us are having an early flood. It's kind of crazy, and they're not all connected, so it's been a crazy season.
Yeah, so if people are needing emergency services such as the EOC, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, getting a hold of the EOC, we are just planning. We're just doing the planning. So
Okay.
I think you probably mean the ESS.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they provide services to the public, but only once people are under evacuation order does that kick in. So if we don't have to order more people out of their houses, that is probably not an option. So if they are needing help, they can phone the village office, or they can, once it's over, I imagine Red Cross assistance, or I hope that it will be available. I hope that Red Cross assistance will be available to them.
So now that I understand that the EOC and the ESS are different, without naming names, what other types of people are on the EOC group planning meetings?
Well, we have logistics, we have financial's a big one. Myself, communications, there's a director and a deputy director, and um, also public works plays a big role on it because they're what you would call an incident commander. They're on the ground. They do they do rounds of the town every morning just to see how the riverbed is holding up and how the infrastructure looks.
Are all those people local, or are some of them from Kamloops or other places in the province?
Most of us are local. We do have a local team, but we did get assistance from Kamloops over the weekend, which was great. Kamloops sent us five of their best people, and they really provided a lot of help and took a big load off of our shoulders.
Have you been around town seeing all the sandbags that have been put up?
I have. It's great. Be nice if it had been done a week before, but I mean, any sandbagging is great. Yeah, I'm sorry that this COVID-19 resulted in the social distancing of everyone because we usually have our sandbagging be early on in April, and we couldn't do that this year because of the need to be so distant from each other. But we were hoping that by providing the piles of sand and the sandbags that people would be able to do their own. I know it was very hard for some people to get out and do it. We're not all 18-year-olds anymore. But I think and I hope that everyone who needs sandbags has received it by now.
I drove around a few of the piles today, and they all seem pretty decimated. So that's good.
Yes, it is.
Um, is there anything else that you would like to? Oh yes, I had another question. Where do you get your prediction information from? Do you follow a certain website that people can follow at home, or?
Well, we're in touch daily. We have conference call meetings with the Rivers Forecast Center, and we also on that meeting would be representatives from Environment Canada, Forest Lands, Natural Resources, and Rural Development Ministry is also in on those, and representatives from around the region who would probably be on the same watershed as us. They would be in on those calls as well. And yeah, we're pretty much updated regularly whenever there's a change in anything that's happening along the river.
And as of this moment, knowing that things can change at any time, um, is there a forecast for it to come up anymore, or is it supposed to flatten out, or what's the idea for the week?
From what I've heard, and don't quote me, I know that's too late now, but the levels may fluctuate up and down moderately. But well, fingers crossed. My own hope is that we're not going to see it come over the bank. But like I said, you just can't, even with the best forecast, you just can't predict these things. We've had in the last few days, they've told us that a big rain event could change things.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't, because we haven't had that rain that they predicted. So, it's almost down to a guessing game. Even the best educated guess is just that. It's just an educated guess.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to the people of Cache Creek right now?
Well, yes, stay safe. Stay 10 feet away from the bank. That water can undercut it. You can fall in and before you know it. And also, we're still under COVID-19 restrictions, so maintain your protocols. Stay 6 feet away from each other and 10 feet away from the bank, and help your neighbors as best you can.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it for me. I really hope that we can do this in person one day without COVID-19 being such a pain in the butt. But
Yes.
thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you, Gareth. It's been a pleasure.
And if there's any more
Stay safe,
updates,
bud.
please let me know and we can do this again.
I will.
All right, right on.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. So again, thank you, Wendy, for taking the time to do the interview with us. Lots of really good information. So now we have a few write-ups. So through all of this, the village of Cache Creek has been very forthcoming with all this information and what they plan to be doing. So we have a few statements from them here. So the Bonaparte River continues to remain high as it flows through town, and emergency response personnel continue to monitor it. Residents should remain vigilant, stay 10 feet away from the water's edge, and continue to fortify vulnerable properties with sandbags. The sand and bags are still available around town, but the location in the park has been moved to the Public Works parking lot next to the park. I'm assuming because the water has seeped through enough that it has now flooded out that area. The other locations are still the same: the library, the old recycling depot, and Old Caribou Road and Nugget Road. Bring a shovel and help yourselves. Please keep your property safe. If you have the time and the indignation to help your community, fill some extra bags and leave them for the next person or drop them off to your neighbors. And I will say that Brian Gross, one of the pictures that was shared, is from Brian Gross went around and filled up 200 sandbags at 2 of the locations, one of them being the Sage and Sands Mobile Home Park. So Brian, if you're watching, thank you very much. Personnel at the Cache Creek Emergency Operations Center monitor, evaluate, and act daily on the changing river conditions. They are constantly collecting up-to-date information from many different sources, including BC Rivers Forecast Center, Environment Canada, FLNROD, so must be an acronym, FLNRORD. Your safety is their top priority. RCMP officers will continue to provide regular rounds overnight to make sure everyone is safe, while the village diligently monitors the Essentials Village infrastructure. The RCMP, so I live in the Sage and Sands Mobile Home Park. We sandbagged a large area, and the RCMP did come through, and they were asking lots of questions about if we started a flood, who should get evacuated first. They were talking with my father-in-law who runs the park. So they have been there quite a bit. So thank you to the RCMP for being very vigilant in everything that you're doing. Remember that the town is on stage 4 water restrictions. One of the wells providing drinking water has been halted due to high water, but this is in no way impacts the quality of the town's drinking water, but please restrict your water use to drinking, food preparation, and personal hygiene only. Lastly, please maintain COVID-19 physical distancing and protocols. We want everyone in Cache Creek to stay safe and dry and coronavirus free. Help us keep you and soon help us help you, and soon this will be another old story that we all share. There is a second info page as well. So emergency response personnel continue to oversee the safety of Cache Creek and its residents. The Cache Creek Emergency Operations Center is staffed daily by people who monitor, evaluate, and act on the changing river conditions. They are constantly collecting up-to-date information from many different sources. RCMP officers continue to provide regular rounds. The river continues to rise and may not peak until early next week. Please use caution around it. Stay 10 feet away. We do not want a repeat of what happened a few years ago with the Cache Creek Fire Chief, so stay away from the river. The village has made sandbags available. Remember that the town is on stage 4 water restrictions. And lastly, please maintain COVID-19. So it's a different letter with much of the same information. So thank you, Cache Creek, for keeping that all of us up to date while we are going through this. So that is all of the information I currently have about the flood. Let's just watch my little video that I did, live video from the other day, when there was a fire across the street from the Sage and Sands Mobile Home Park.
Hello, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network. Across the street from us is a fire in Cache Creek at the end of Collins Road. It currently looks like it started in the shed of the house at the end of the property, or at the end of the road on Collins. The fire department showed up very promptly and have not put the fire out, but are doing a good job just working on it. Let's just watch it for a few minutes. So between fires and floods, this is really shaping up to be quite the interesting week in Cache Creek. This is the second fire in the last week and a half. The first one being the owners of Annie's Pizza. Yeah, the fire department is working very hard to put out this fire. There was, just before we went live, a little bit of a very small explosion that seemed to come out of the little garage there. Also, before we went live, we do have other footage of this that I will show tomorrow at our live show at 4 o'clock. I'm going to stop it here, so thank you very much to the Fire Department of Cache Creek and Ashcroft and Ambulance. I'm not sure who all is over there, but you did a prompt response. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and if there's anything new, we'll update you as we go.
So the extra information that we have is that 2 people, and this is from a source that I have, 2 people were injured in that fire. One person burnt his hands, another burnt their face. They were both taken to hospital via ambulance. And again, thank you to all of the emergency responders, first responders that were there. You did a fantastic job. You got there within 7 minutes, I believe, was the timed count. Again, this was just across the street from my family's property, so we were able to have a good vantage point on all of what was going on. So yeah, anyway, no animals were hurt, which was nice. It does look like there's going to be some extensive damage to the house via smoke and being in proximity to the fire, but we hope that the people that own that property, we wish them all the best. This video here is from today, now that everybody's gone. That is what is left of the structure. So that is the show today, COVID-19, flood, fire. We will be back on Friday. So now these shows are no longer going to be going on every day, as per the poll that we did. What we should actually mention here, because it's not going to be mentioned for the rest of the week, is the Ashcroft Cache Creek helpline. So it is, if you need help right now for COVID-19 related reasons, you can call 250-457-3422, and that number can get you hooked up with food pickup, telephone chat if you are isolated and alone and need somebody to talk to. You can call this number, mail pickup, and spiritual support. There are lots of really good groups involved with this, such as the Ashcroft and District Hospital Auxiliary, the Ashcroft Hub, the Ashcroft Moving Forward Group, Better at Home, the CRS, Elizabeth Fry Society, Equality Project, Hospice, Hospital Friends and Family, Hub Online Network, Emily Jackie Taggart, MP Brad Viss, Sage Hills Church, St. Albans Church, Village of Ashcroft, and Cache Creek, and many, many more. So again, that is 250-457-3422 if you need any of those resources. Now, the reason I did the show so early today is because of the 2 council meetings that are happening this Monday. Cache Creek starts at 4:30 and Ashcroft is at 7. So if you have any questions, because general public will not be allowed into the buildings, if you have any questions that you would like to send in, you can email me at hon@ashcrofthub.com, and I will make sure that those questions do get asked at those meetings. If you don't ask, well, I won't be able to do that for you. The other thing is, next week, Ashcroft is doing a virtual town hall. So again, general public cannot go into the building, but they're going to be talking about things that the public should be weighing in on. So we are going to do that live via the Hub Online Network. So that is going to be on our Facebook page on the 4th of May at 7 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. You can find out more information at the Village of Ashcroft website about what they're going to be talking about. And again, you should check in. We'll be fielding questions live as we go, so you don't have to have questions in advance. But you will not be able to go in and watch this yourself. So keep that in mind. Again, that is next week on the 4th of May. Can't believe we're already getting into May. What else do we have on the table? I believe that that's currently it. There's no new cancellations or postponements of events. So there we go. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Again, stay tuned for Friday at 4 o'clock, and we will have the week's update then. Tomorrow, I'll be having an interview that I did with Nadine Davenport posted to our YouTube channel. And the interview that I did with Wendy Coomber will be up this afternoon. If you want to watch that again, you don't have to go sit through this whole video again. You can just watch it on YouTube. So have yourselves a good day, good week. Stay safe, Cache Creek, and we will see you again on Friday. Stay tuned to the Hub Online Network just in case some more breaking news happens. We will be there with our live videos on site, so try and stay in touch. Thank you so much. Have a good day.